back, everybody, to Movie Reel for part two of Revenge of the Sith. I'm Kevin Tracy.
I'm Samantha Tomlinson.
I'm Ben Deckert.
So where we last left off, we kind of got to the pivotal point of the birth of Darth Vader. Um, what were your kind of initial reactions on this one, Sam?
So the second Mace Windu's thrown out the window, and Darth Vader, Anakin is like freaking out. He's just like crying, like, "What have I done? Oh my god!" And this scene for me has always been kind of weird because I think the first time I saw this, and I think I said this to you when we watched it, I didn't feel, and again, it's different now because I know what happens and when it happens. But upon my initial, like my first watch, I felt like he's being given the name Darth Vader, and he's officially pledging himself over to Palpatine. And am I supposed to feel, as an audience member, am I supposed to feel in this moment that he's Darth Vader, or just that this is his new name and he's still Anakin? Because I didn't quite feel that he was Darth Vader yet. And I felt like if I'm supposed to believe that, it feels like they're just jumping up. They're just jumping a couple steps, skipping a couple steps before like he actually fully is. And there's moments throughout his rampage throughout the rest of the movie that I feel like that's Anakin. That's not Darth Vader. So I kind of think in this moment also, just his reaction, he is torn up. He just, he didn't kill Mace Windu, but he definitely played a role in his death.
He was very much a main reason why he is no longer alive. Even though a lot of people are saying that, like, oh no, Mace Windu totally survives. Like,
Oh no, Mace Windu totally survived. He's just chilling out there.
yeah. There were so many
hands.
theories that like Snoke was actually like Mace Windu.
What?
Yeah, Snoke, the most useful character in the sequels. We'll get to that next year. Piece of shit.
Well, I have there's other theories on Snoke, but I'll get to those
so many.
But just the fact that he's so torn up about it, it just, to me, I just didn't believe that he would be like still in this moment be ready to join Palpatine. He knows right now, like, I just helped Palpatine kill Mace Windu. Like, I understand he will do anything to save Padme, but I think there should have been a little more hesitation, or like, Palpatine giving one more plea of this is the only way you can save your wife or something, because that's the whole reason he's doing this. And it, to me, just makes no sense.
Well, I mean, he kind of does get that. The final plea is like,
no,
I have the power
but
to save the ones you love.
He's freaking out so much about having, about Mace Windu, that I just don't. It, to me, it just seems like it doesn't seem very feasible that he would just be right then and there be ready to join Palpatine because he's so torn up about it. That's my current issue.
Okay, I can kind of see where you're coming from on that. My main thing is how quickly he came up with a name for Vader.
I know, was he thinking about this?
Yeah, and also it kind of, like, don't get me wrong, Vader is a great name. Like, Darth Vader is just such an iconic and just ruthless name that it like, we know because of what it's attached to and what he eventually becomes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Well, that's the other side of it, though, is the name's only iconic and holds that weight because we've grown up knowing what
exactly,
is reference, is its reference.
Exactly, but it,
as just a general name, it's not that intimidating. It's Vader is closest to father in German.
Yeah, because it doesn't kind of meet the rest of the pattern of the other Sith lords. We got like Darth Maul, Darth Tyrannus, Darth Sidious, like Darth Malgus, Darth Plagueis, like all these like kind of like insidious, like all these like various evil like sounding names, and it's like we have Darth Vader. What does that mean? I don't know. It's like we have Darth Insidious.
Isn't there a joke like instead of Darth Maul, like Darth Paul or something.
Probably.
I feel like I typed that, and I think it's a thing, but it wasn't like, I don't think like there was anything prominent enough that I felt the need to report it to you.
I
But
mean,
it was more of the fact that his name is Maul. Maul rhymes with Paul. How is there not a Darth Paul?
your tactics,
It just sounds
your
like an
tactics
SNL
confuse and
character.
frighten me, sir.
That sounds like an SNL character. Like,
It really
if you
does.
love Darth Maul, here's his brother, Darth Paul.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But like Darth Maul's actual brother's name, Savage Opress, Savage Oppressor. It's like they're all just
Yeah.
very evil names, and then we get Vader. It's just like, where's that fit in? Like, it doesn't meet the pattern that has already been established. Like, it would have made more sense if we called him like, oh god, like Darth Suppressor or something.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
like we have like
yeah.
Darth Nihilus, Darth Bane, like all these like evil names that like set like just like their actual name is like Nihilus, like he'll annihilate us. Like it fits a theme of like what they do. Vader, what does Vader mean? It means father. It's like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense because he's going to be a father. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Darth Daddy.
Darth Daddy. I guess like I guess that kind of goes with the theme of like him choking Imperials, and they're all like, harder.
Ew. Yes. So yeah, I agree with the name. But I feel like I thought about that, but I thought the least amount about that. If anything, I focused more on everything I just said.
Yeah.
But it did occur to me.
Well, I also feel like it didn't really like factor too much into you because you don't know like a lot of like the various Sith names.
No,
like half of what I just said, I think just kind of went over your head.
I knew obviously some of those names, not all of them, but if anything, it did occur to me like, how long has he been thinking Vader? Like, is this a pun? Is this Palpatine just being funny because he knows? Oh, it's funny. Anakin's about to be a father, so I'll make him Darth Father. like, or is it just had he been thinking about this for a while? Like, or did it just come out of nowhere? Like, I thought about that, but I didn't think so much on it, I guess.
I don't know if there's like any like significant meaning to his name from like Palpatine's point of view for naming him that, but it kind of just more like it kind of goes by very quickly, and it's like, all right, it's like, okay, you're Vader, you're a Sith now, you're my apprentice. All right, game plan. We need to kill all the Jedi. You mind going to the temple and taking that out for me? It's like, okay, like very quickly, like all conflict of like him betraying Mace Windu is gone, and he just goes to the temple and plays like probably like my favorite music in this movie of like the Temple March.
This is
with like all the clothes, such a great scene, and saw that bad.
This scene is so powerful and intense, and I think music wise, this is definitely, I think, one of my favorite pieces of music. Definitely in this movie, maybe in the prequels. I mean, Phantom Menace actually has a lot of great pieces of music.
Yeah,
we talked a little bit about.
For me, it's right, like the Temple March theme is right up there with Duel of the Fates and the Imperial March. It is so iconic to me, and I feel like it's one of like the more underrated themes in there. Like Binary Sunset is a classic bit of like Star Wars like fanfare and like music, but like Temple March I feel like is kind of like the ones that is just people recognize it when they hear it, but they don't really, I guess, I don't want to say appreciate it, because like there is an appreciation for it, because like every time I hear it I get goosebumps. But
also the meaning of like what this is all, what is about to happen.
Yeah, but I and he kind of goes back into what I was trying to say of like Palpatine pretty much like orders him to like, hey, I need you to go there and like kill all the Jedi, and then we kind of get into another scene. But the fact that Anakin agrees to it so quickly after being so conflicted, is like, really, you turned on a dime real fast, my friend.
See, exactly.
Like what happened to the conflict like all of 2 seconds ago, where you were like almost bawling your eyes out over what you just did. And now it's like now he's just like decapitating children. It's like no problem. It's like, geez, okay.
See, when
Calm down there, Ted Bundy.
that just well, Ted Bundy didn't kill kids; he just killed women.
Well, I don't know serial killers.
Anyway, I don't think he killed kids. Anyway, but I think I'm not an expert. I don't know, but anyway,
I swear, like I don't know if this is a stereotype, but it seems like every like woman I know watches like a true crime podcast. So
you told me once. You once
on.
told me you said you feel like every like women, they either are into supernatural stuff or true crime or like cop crime, and I'm definitely, I love
both.
I'm like a little into supernatural, but not as much. I love true crime and stuff. But anyway, regardless, this was I agree with you. I felt like that was my issue. I felt like his conflict, and then just so willing to be like killing all the Jedi. If he was more like, is there another way, or is like why, like if some, I mean, I guess he knows why, but is like some other kind of something to match what happened literally a minute ago would just make this a little more consistent.
Well, that was just kind of what happened in Palpatine's office was kind of the last nail in the coffin for Anakin becoming disillusioned with the Jedi. It'd been going on for a long time.
Yeah, and I think Palpatine does a great job at making it look like the Jedi are about to take over, and he's trying, like, he does a great job of manipulating Anakin. And I totally understand that. It's really just that conflict of he just killed Mace Windu. It seems weird that he's just so willing to, let's go do this. But I was watching this and I realized I forgot. There are scenes, I said this before, in Phantom Menace and in Attack of the Clones, there are these scenes that I seem to just completely forget. And I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. But in this movie, I realized I completely forgot. He tells Anakin to go to the temple, and then while we're seeing that march, Palpatine, basically sends out the message saying execute Order 66. And I'm like, wouldn't it have made more sense for maybe him to say, okay, go to the temple, then we see Palpatine send out the message, and then we see Anakin go into the temple and seeing that scene? I feel like that, as well as like that scene right before he goes to, Palpatine's office and like with Mace Windu and stuff. Both of those scenes, I'm like, does this make sense right here? Should this be moved?
I feel like it makes sense.
Those two things are supposed to be going on almost simultaneously.
Yeah.
And there's just no good way to show that.
Also, we kind of bypassed a very important scene of General Grievous.
Yeah, I realized that. I was just thinking that.
With Obi-Wan. It's like, oh wait, this all
so uncivilized.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, this all happens after Grievous died. So, Sam, what was your opinion of like Grievous and like him having 4 arms and 4 lightsabers? Like, what was your kind of opinion on that?
It's like fun. It's kind of like, instead of Darth Maul having like a 2-sided lightsaber, or 2-bladed lightsaber, like, it's just makes the stakes a little higher, makes
gimmick of Maul.
Yeah, makes the conflict a little more complex. It's I have no real, I mean, do you think like Obi-Wan knows who each of those, lightsabers belong to? They're not, are the handles that different?
Yes.
Every lightsaber is unique.
Yeah, because they build them.
Yeah, they're each handmade by the individual Jedi. There's
like a decent chance he would know who they came from.
Yeah, or at least have like recognize it to a certain degree. Like I think the only like lightsabers that are like pretty much identical are like the Jedi, the 2 twin Jedi sisters from Clone Wars. I think like they had like purposely like identical like lightsabers because we're twins. Why not?
Yeah, I didn't have Grievous, though, in Clone Wars seems to be like him, and aside from Maul, Grievous in Clone Wars and first like Obi-Wan is this like continuing, like they are like each other's like enemy, like they.
Oh yeah, they're open rivals.
Yeah. At this point. I felt like the movie. I mean, obviously the movie, because we don't see all that. You don't really get that vibe in the movie. but it just makes it like it's a really interesting lightsaber fight to view, especially because we got a pretty typical lightsaber fight in the beginning. We're going to get an incredibly heavy emotional lightsaber fight coming up. It makes sense also why we would be getting one with 4 or just something different than what we have and are about to see.
And I think different is the right word for this, because I feel like we said it before, it's just trying to one up the craziness of having Maul's double-bladed lightsaber.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, we need to show that, like, you know, they're trying to like experiment and do like crazy ways to kill Jedi, and it's like, well, let's see if this guy works, because he's been killing Jedi for a while. Each lightsaber belongs to a different Jedi. Oh boy. Okay.
Another fine addition to my collection.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on Grievous impersonation. Just cough maniacally into a microphone. People love to hear that. So Obi-Wan kills Grievous in probably like the least Obi-Wan fashion by just shooting him right in the heart, and he just spontaneously combusts from that.
But then he's like,
after getting knocked onto a platform and his lightsaber falling down.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like
below him, so he doesn't have it. So it's not like he just like randomly. He's like, you know, I have this lightsaber, but I'll just shoot him instead. He didn't have his.
Yeah, I know, but I just think it's funny that like both like lightsaber wielding maniacs that he's killed, they both had high ground advantage. He is the only Jedi who is like, I know the high ground inside and out. No one can beat me on the high ground. Only I can beat me on the high ground.
So, but then he like just tosses the blaster and is like, how uncivilized. And but like, yeah, back to, you know, so now Order 66 is going on.
Order 66.
And it's so heartbreaking. Like, I think at the first time I viewed it, I didn't understand. Like, I knew what it was. I knew what was happening, but I didn't fully understand on this emotional level. Especially since I've seen...
You weren't as invested in a lot of the characters.
No, especially since I've seen, like, Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. But I was...
Yeah, it's now there's so many more things that
and it's just like, all these... They're all elsewhere. Just fighting with... You know, the clones and the Jedi had a good relationship, and they're all just fighting, and then they suddenly just turn on them. And... like, it's like heartbreaking. And then we get to Anakin going into the temple.
During the scene where like all the clones are killing like their Jedi masters, I think the most heartbreaking scene during this is when Aayla Secura on Felucia gets gunned down by all of her troops, because
it's like execution style. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah. And there's a reason for that. There's a theory behind that there has been like, so the clone commander that works under her is Commander Bly, and there's been like various like rumors and various facts that show that they may have had like somewhat of a romantic connection.
Wait, who?
Or like some kind of like Commander Bly, one of the clone commanders. He's like the one who has like the shoulder pauldron and like the visor.
Why do they have those? Why do some have
just
them?
to differentiate rank?
Oh, okay.
And just like differentiate rank and extra armor and stuff like that. So yeah, there's like various like theories and rumors that like they had like a romantic relationship. So when Order 66 came on, he ordered his men to not stop firing until they ran out of ammo, so that way her death would be fast and as painless as possible, because if she survived that initial attack, she would be hunted for the rest of her life, potentially tortured, and a whole bunch of unspeakable things could happen to her. So he wanted her death to be as fast as possible and make sure that the job was done so she didn't suffer unintentionally.
That's horrible. Oh my
that
God.
Is horrible. And I'm kind of disturbed that I know that
is
now.
Horrible. And then it gets even...
It's like, if I have to know that, then so do you.
It gets even more...
Aayla Secura is also a interesting Jedi, because she was the first Jedi that wasn't created by George Lucas.
Oh, she wasn't?
She originally showed up in an early comic run before Phantom Menace. And George Lucas liked her so much, he was like, oh yeah, we'll put her in the movie.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not know
fact.
that. Wow. Now I'm even more sad that she died.
But oh my God. And that's the thing, is like, I mean, again, I don't want to give anything away in Clone Wars, but like with what we know, this was my other thing about the temple scene, because we, again, forget like what we, I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen Clone Wars. Forget what we know about why the clones were in on it, but it just seemed,
Yeah.
did it like, wouldn't, as an audience, I was watching, I'm thinking like, why would the clones just be, again, we know that they're in on it, but it seems like before, okay, this is why I realized I forgot this, why I was like, does it make sense that this happens before, we're seeing this before we see Palpatine, send out the signal, like, Commander Cody, execute Order 66. Why, we don't know that the clones are in on it, so as an audience member, don't you think anyone was like, wait, why are all the clones like, okay, yeah, let's go kill Jedi? Like, in Anakin's case, like, because they're just so many, he saw so many with them, and they're just like following him.
Well, I mean, I think they're just following him because, they're here to follow orders. Like, they're his commanding officer. They've been told by the Chancellor to follow this order. And I think initially in Legends, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, Order 66 was not what it is now. It was just like an inherent order that they just already.
It was just in their training.
That's like, if this is, or like, if this order is released, you have to follow it to the letter. And now it is what it is now, which is spoiler. It's a big spoiler, and I don't want to get into that one.
It's just killing it's just genocide. It is elimination of the Jedi. And then we get to the...
100%.
My jaw dropped, I think, at this next part.
Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we gonna do?
So that kid, the Master Skywalker, that's the one that everyone thought was Snoke.
What?
Oh yeah,
because somebody
digitally
aged his face, and
I forgot about that
matched
theory
perfectly to Snoke.
That's insane. What?
I forgot about that theory.
Say that kid. I haven't.
That's my favorite idea for who. Snoke
that
was.
would have been great. Oh,
but they're apparently that kid, like Hayden Christensen, have like met up or something, or like
they've met up a couple times.
But like Anakin goes in and all the younglings are freaked out, and then that one, like, Master Skywalker, there's too many, what are we to do? And then he just pulls out his lightsaber, and I remember, I think Kevin, you had to pause the TV because I was like, what? Like, I mean, they are Jedi, but it did not even occur to me, like, holy crap. And it's kind of heartbreaking later, because
I remember I had to pause it for you, and it took you a couple minutes to fully realize what the hell just happened. And it's like, it's like, and I was like, I'm like motioning for you. It's like, figure it out. And it's like, oh my God.
And then it gets even worse, because later, Yoda and Obi-Wan return, and they send out the message, like, all, other Jedi don't come back here. And but I know, I know, but like, Yoda's just like, and Obi-Wan's just like, who could have done this? And you can kind of see in Obi-Wan and Yoda's face, like, he knows who did this. Like, I mean, not Ewan, yes, Ewan, but Obi-Wan has like does not have a clue, or maybe deep down, but he Kenobi doesn't have a clue. Like, Yoda seems to already kind of know, which is really extra sad.
Yeah. But it's also kind of,
I guess, before we get too far away, the actual naming of Order 66, that's a reference to a real life executive order.
Oh God.
Was Order 9066, made on February 19th, 1942 by FDR. That was the one that led to the internment of Japanese Americans.
Oh!
Okay.
That is... What? That's... Oh my God.
Okay. My mind went World War II. I did not go to that. I thought it was going to be like when Stalin and like the whole, like, if you retreat, we'll shoot you kind of thing. That's where my mind went. I was not prepared for that.
I mean, Order 66 is already so messed up, but it's this weirdly, like, fascinating event that happens in Star Wars, and that just made it even more worse. Oh my god.
I really don't know where to go from there. Ben, take it away. Fuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
I mean, Obi-Wan is trapped on whatever that, what was the planet?
Utapau.
Otapa, and his like lizard bird horse guy gets shot.
Varactyl.
I don't know, gets shot, and they're both, they both like crash land in the water, and Obi-Wan's trying to
Boga.
Oh my god, he's trying to find a way to get off. He manages to get back to his ship, and
no, he steals Grievous's ship.
Grievous's ship, I guess. He gets back to, and then
come on, are we just gonna fact check you this entire time, Sam? It's like you haven't even seen this movie.
Oh my god. He gets back onto a ship and then leaves. And Yoda, I do say, when the clones attack Yoda, and he fights back, and then he like climbs on, I think it's Chewie's back, right?
Yeah,
and
it's Chewbacca.
He does have a good relationship with the Wookiees. And
yeah.
And then later when he is put into an escape pod, and it's like, what's the other one's name? He's like, goodbye, whatever. Goodbye, Chewbacca. And you're like
Turfle and goodbye, Chewbacca.
And
I think the other one's like Tarful or something like that.
I think it's Tarful.
And is he picked up by Bail Organa?
Yeah, Bail Organa picks him up because during the siege on the temple, Bail Organa like flies by the temple, lands on the landing platform, and is confronted by some clones like, hey, what's going on here?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And the clones are like, there's been a rebellion. Don't worry, the situation's under control. And they point a gun at him. It's like, it's time for you to leave. It's like, okay, yeah.
And
then a Jedi shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Padawan.
Yeah, a Padawan played by... Do you know who is played by, Ben?
Like the actor?
That's George Lucas's son.
Oh!
I was going to say, I believe...
George Lucas's son is playing a Jedi Padawan, kills a couple of the clones, and then is gunned down, and Bail Organa is freaking out, flies away. The clones let him fly away. I don't know why they would let him do that.
Because he's not a Jedi. That's not the order, I was assuming.
I know, but it just seems like, that's gonna
it just seemed very them. Because he doesn't know what's going on. He's just seeing clones killing a young, I mean, not just even a Jedi, a kid, and that is like enough to know that something's going on. And he ends up, him, Obi-Wan, and Yoda are talking, and Bail, I think, is great. He's always just been loyal, and he's loyal to what's right, and he doesn't know what's going on any more than Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he constantly leads like humanitarian efforts like during the war, even when his life is in danger. It's like, no, these people need food. We're going to get them food. I don't care if there's bombers over my head. Do what you can to protect me while I save these people. It's like,
and he's sent back to...
It's like, dude, you're a pain in the ass, but yeah, you're right.
He's sent back to Coruscant, and because Palpatine's got a new meeting, and the Jedi are being hunted down, and
eliminated.
And the Republic is being reorganized as the first galactic empire, and everybody, clappity clap clap, and Padme.
This is how democracy dies.
I was just waiting because I was like, if Trump won the last this past term, that meme was going to be floating around. It was going to happen.
I mean, it floated around a lot during the first election. Oh, it did. I played it several times.
But see, Padme.
But what's also interesting about that scene where Padme says the ends with applause. The thing she has in her hair is shaped like the rebellion symbol.
Oh, I never noticed that.
I didn't notice that either.
Yeah. Oh, it's also I also kind of want to point out when Palpatine's saying that this will be the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire. There have been several galactic empires. What the hell are you talking about?
But the Senate is still kind of remains intact because we know in Rebels that Bail is pretending to be obviously with the Empire, but he's aiding the rebellion. But what does what is the Senate? Is it just business as usual kind of thing? Like, what does the Senate still do, even though it's?
I guess it just kind of it just kind of operates the same as how it did during the war, but with him having like executive powers, just unchecked and unchallenged now.
But anyway,
So yeah, while he is with Padme at the special session of Congress, Yoda and Obi-Wan is like, we're gonna infiltrate the temple, and they just no holding back, no holds barred, just take down all the clones there. But it also kind of led into a really funny deleted scene of a couple. I think you remember this one, Ben, of a couple of clones dressed in Jedi robes trying to disguise themselves to trick
Oh
both
yes.
Yoda and Obi-Wan into thinking that they're Jedi and kill them, even though they all sound the same, they all look the same, and they just think a hood over themselves and kind of disguising their voices will work. It does not.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, this scene, yeah, this is when they realize it's Anakin that's doing all this, and Obi-Wan is like, I can't kill him. He's my brother. I can't do it. I won't do it. And I kind of just, I think the next scene, so actually before this, though, sorry, backtracking a little bit, Anakin, goes to Padme because she saw the attack on the temple, but she didn't know what was going on, or on the, yeah, she kind of is seeing what's going on just from like city views, and he says, oh, the Jedi are trying to take over, and my allegiance is with Palpatine and the Senate and the Republic, and she has to know I think she knows he's acting kind of weird and creepy, like he is not himself, and she kind of just seems to ignore it. And then when Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan's like, I don't know where to even look for Anakin, and Yoda's like, search your feelings, and so he goes to Padme, and I think this might be maybe my favorite scene in this movie, because it has my favorite line, but he basically says to Padme, like, Anakin's gone to the dark side. Sidious is, the Sith Lord we've been looking for, and I have to go find Anakin. And she's just like, oh my god, you're gonna kill him. And I think at this point, he probably still doesn't have any clue what he's gonna do. He knows he's supposed to kill him.
It's like I need to stop him. He's gone too
and
far.
Then yeah.
And also, while all this is happening, Anakin's on Mustafar with R2 and told R2 to stay with the ship, which is sad because that's the last time he was told to stay with the ship and he didn't come back. But he's there with all the other separatist leaders like Newt Gunray, Paul Lesser, etc., etc. And yeah, what? Yes,
Watt Timbre of the Techno Union.
Fucking Techno Union. It's a funny video. Just look up Techno Union.
Yes. The Segway jukebox himself.
And kills all the separatist leaders. And yeah. But
I mean, those were technically assassinations.
True, but it was also like, how did they not see this coming when Sidious is like, my apprentice, Lord Vader, he will take care of you. Like, he said it in a way, it's like, oh yeah, take care. And he might as well just pointed a fake gun to his head and pulled the trigger. And it's like, he'll take care of you.
And the scene is the first time you see Vader turn and has the Sith
What
eyes.
is that? When do you get those? Like, Palpatine doesn't have them all the time. He has them, it seems like he has them all the time as Emperor, but he didn't have them as regular Palpatine.
Well, yeah, because he was suppressing
his
Force abilities.
Okay, and
you can
I kind of do love that shot of when he turns and there are the Sith eyes, and it's like Anakin's kind of just gone or disappearing. And I think but then there's another shot later where he's got his Sith eyes and he's crying. It's like, see, that's Anakin. That's not Darth Vader. Anakin,
because both sides were still conflicting.
It's the scene where he's killing the separatist leaders, he has the Sith eyes, and then when he's fighting Obi-Wan, he has his normal eyes again.
Yeah,
and they don't switch back to the Sith eyes until he's crawling at the end.
Yeah, he's just so conflicted. This is why the best thing about the sequels is Kylo Ren, because he is 100% a Star Wars character. Because like Anakin or even like Luke, he's just so conflicted, and that's what makes it interesting. And here it's like it's kind of heartbreaking. And I remember, the thing is, the first time I saw this, like I said, the way things happen and the way things escalate, my mind kind of goes back and forth. And the first time I saw this, it felt like Anakin was just using he knew that this wasn't right, but he was going along with it, like, oh yeah, this is the right thing to do, but he knew deep down this wasn't, and he was just pretending to go along with it. And then the second time I'm like, no, he fully believes this. And this time I think it's kind of both, because he knows, like, that, yeah, like, the Republic was crippling, there were all these issues, the Jedi had totally lost its way, but he knows that he's been not going on this mass murder spree, and he knows that this is wrong. Like, that's why he's crying, and it's just like this heartbreaking, like, moment of, like,
weakness.
Yeah, and it's almost like there's this weird beauty in it. Like, it's so heartbreaking that it's like you can't look away.
Yeah, it is kind of poetic in a way. I mean, this is a space opera after all, so it does fit the theme, and it is weirdly poetic to see how he's kind of gone through all these ups and downs throughout his, like, character. But I guess kind of jumping back to where we were with Obi-Wan talking to Padme, you said that this scene contained your favorite line, Sam?
Padme's saying, like, I will say also, Natalie Portman, her acting here is kind of weird. She's like, "You're wrong. How can you even say that?" It just, I don't know, something about it. I just didn't like the delivery. But anyway, when he gets up to leave and he just knows, like, she's not going to tell him anything, and he goes, "Anakin is the father, isn't he?" And that's just my favorite line, one of my favorite lines of this movie, because it's just like, he obviously in that moment, we've talked about this so much, he knows that they are in love with each other. He doesn't necessarily know they are together. Def probably doesn't know that they're married, and in that moment, it kind of probably all makes sense. Like, maybe not to the degree of he's doing this all to protect Padme or why exactly, but it kind of all probably comes full circle for him, and I just love the emotion behind that scene. And then he walks away going, "I'm sorry." Like, he has to go maybe kill his brother, the most important person in his life, and maybe going to leave his wife, those children, without a father. Like
Widowed.
it's so much emotion. I just think Ewan McGregor, he's so great at Obi-Wan. He's just so great in this, and especially I think his performance in this movie it's so fun and it's heartbreaking. And then he even gives a more heartbreaking performance later. And
towards the end.
I've not done a ton of research on it, and I don't know if maybe the pictures were photoshopped, but wasn't there like maybe a storyline of Obi-Wan and Padme being, like, in love or something? I don't.
That was just kind of like a weird, like, theory and, like, a lot of, like, speculation, but it was never a fleshed out thing. That was never a thing that ever really saw, like, the light of day or there was no real evidence to suggest anything like that, as far as I know.
Because I think I thought that, but prior to seeing the prequels, I think that,
I don't know. I think that was just some fan fiction that just took a life of its own.
I think that's what I thought was happening. I don't know. But I not when I was watching the movies, but I think prior to like, I knew Obi-Wan was a factor. I knew Anakin was in it. I thought because I knew Ewan McGregor, and he is at this point, along with Natalie Portman, like, the biggest stars in this movie, I guess, and Samuel L. Jackson, and Frank Oz. but I think part of me kind of still in that mindset of, like, of course, the two most popular actors are going to be the ones that are in a relationship. This was way before I saw the movie, and obviously I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But there was a sorry, no, really quick. There was a deleted scene. I haven't seen it. I've seen, like, like those, like, broken up, like, it's like a line by line, like a picture of a scene that you can find on the internet. It was one of those.
Yeah. So wait, you mean like story art?
Maybe
stills?
Probably. But it was like Obi-Wan talking with Padme. I'm pretty sure this was in Attack of the Clones, where he says, like, he cares about you a lot, and I know it, but it makes him happy, so I kind of just don't say anything about it. So, like,
oh yeah, I remember that was like cut dialogue.
If that's the scene, I think it is that.
This movie
was a scene that was cut from this movie because Anthony. This is a scene that was cut from this movie because Anthony Daniels fell over while they were filming it.
Damn it, 3PO.
That's so stupid and funny. Okay. I mean, where was the scene gonna be? Like way before, obviously, this part.
It would have
like
at least this one. It would have been earlier
like
in the movie.
Same apartment, probably.
I don't know where. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, it would have been in that like the apartment that's really just a
I
balcony.
actually love the design of her apartment. That balcony's really cool.
It is, but I guess everyone in Star Wars is just allergic to railings.
I know.
There's no railings.
Even like there's
is ocean not a thing in Star Wars? Come on.
I think we established that there's not. Yeah. That's why everybody falls over stuff.
Oh, jeez.
But I just anyway, that scene just has so much emotion, and the stakes are just getting higher and higher, and then she ends up, taking her chrome ship, and Obi-Wan sneaks
Everything's
aboard.
chrome in the future.
And then Obi-Wan sneaks aboard, and she knows, because he has said he's going to Mustafar.
Yeah. Yeah, so while they're doing that, Yoda is like, I'm going to face the Emperor while you take down this new apprentice, Darth Vader. So we get 2 iconic lightsaber fights between 4 extremely powerful like Jedi and Sith simultaneously.
That's a great. It's cut really well. I love both of these fight scenes. They're so great.
It is such an amazing sequence of scenes and events. It is truly amazing what like John Williams is able to elevate with the right music. It's like, give this man all the time he needs to make the best music. I love his work in everything that he does, and this is just probably, in my opinion, some of his best work that he's done.
In Revenge of the Sith, or just Star Wars in general?
In this scene, I think is his best work.
I think
because it just intercuts so perfectly with like all the various cuts and scenes between these 2 fights, because they both have like the same meaning. Like they like the outcome will be the same for either fight. It's like, okay, we destroyed the Sith, the Republic is saved, or like, the Jedi are no more. And they like both outcomes will be the same for the fight, but the meaning behind each individual fight is different. It's master versus master and brother versus brother. And it is so raw and emotional, and it just conveys so much more power with the music elevating it. And it is such a magical and beautiful moment that I think more people need to see this movie for what it is. And it's just a tragedy. That's what this movie is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's, you said it really well. I have nothing.
Thank you.
It's very well put. There's just so much, the stakes are just so high in these, and mixed with the fact that the choreography is just so great. And I love the thing about the Yoda Palpatine fight. I love just that how they're using like the seats, the like floating seats in the Senate.
Throw the
entire Senate at them.
And then, but when we get to Mustafar, and I think I feel like it's in either this moment, or maybe it's a little later into the fight when Anakin. I'm trying to view him as Darth Vader prior to the suit, because that is when he's fully Darth Vader. But Darth Vader is, in a sense, a state of mind. Like, there is a point where he is Darth Vader prior to the suit. And maybe it's when he's choking Padme, because she is like, come on, like, run away with me. Like, this isn't you. And, hey, no, I can overthrow the Chancellor. And then he sees Obi-Wan. Oh,
we can rule the galaxy together.
And then she, you're breaking my heart. You're going down a path I can't follow. And then he sees Obi-Wan. And I remember when we were watching this, and Frank was watching us with us, and you and Obi-Wan is just standing like in the like doorway of the ship, just like his feet spread apart,
hands on his hips.
I remember Frank's just like, that stance.
Just full on Superman pose,
and he starts choking Padme,
like,
because I feel like maybe that moment, that's when he's becoming. That's definitely a Darth Vader moment. But I'm still in debate if Anakin is still in there at that point.
Yeah, and like after that, I like this is kind of like a recurring joke whenever we would watch it in the apartment with like Frank and Reed and Aaron. Um, we have like this entire scene memorized. Like after that, it's like I brought peace, justice, security to my new empire. Your new empire. Don't make me kill you. Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy.
See,
if you're not with me, then you are my enemy. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must. You will try. And then
see,
music.
the reason
It is
I know this scene is because, I mean, I know the scenes of the movie, but the reason I have this dialogue also memorized is because I found this like a year ago, and I can't stop listening to it. It's so funny. Somebody took this scene and they like made it into a song, and I think I sent it to you guys. And it's just so weird because it just is like, I have brought peace and freedom and justice. It just sounds like it's so bizarre. It's the same dialogue, but it's to music. And so I'm like watching it and I'm like, I can't hear anything but the song now when I watch it. And even the your new empire, like it's just so, it's like this emotional scene, but it's like funny and because of the song. But also I do love, like, you know, Obi-Wan is like, she's like, you know, you've turned Padme against me. He's like, you've done that yourself. And that's when they like your dialogue you just said, and then they get into their fight. And this fight, I remember, this might be my favorite fight scene. I think this Yoda.
This is definitely my favorite fight scene.
I thought,
yeah, for sure.
Duel of Fates was your favorite.
It's really a toss-up. I love the music for Duel of Fates.
Fair enough.
But this one I feel like has, like I said before, it has a much stronger message and it has a lot more meaning to it. And
there's a lot of meaning in Duel of Fates, but yeah, I know
there's a lot of meaning in that, but this one, it's been building up to this point, and the payoff is spectacular.
Yes. Ben, where do you stand between this fight scene?
This is my.
Okay, yeah, that answers it.
At the time,
Perfect.
It would have been my favorite fight in Star Wars. Clone Wars has now kind of thrown that off a little.
That's actually funny.
A little bit,
I think my favorite fight scene in Clone Wars is Anakin versus Barriss.
That is a good fight scene. I will give you that. I think my favorite fight scene in Clone Wars is Maul and Savage versus Sidious. That is such an intense fight, I feel like, because at that point they're all just trying to kill each other.
Yeah,
like they're there just purely to eliminate each other. There's no other meaning behind it, and it's just so brutal because, you know.
Sorry, what scene again? Which one?
When Maul is still in charge of Mandalore, and him and his brother are confronted by Palpatine himself, and it's like, I see you've done well for yourself, my old apprentice. It's like, but you have become a rival, and then just tries to kill him, and
mostly succeeds.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, halfway there, he killed one of them. Yeah, back to the fight. Let's kind of focus on the Yoda versus Palpatine fight for now, since both these fights are happening simultaneously. I feel like this is going to take a lot less.
Talk about one than the other.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to take a lot less time than the the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight. So we get to see the Senate Guard in action for pretty much the first time ever.
Sorry, I do really love though when Yoda goes to fight Sidious and he just walks in and he just like pretty much just flicks his hand and they just fall to the ground.
Yeah,
just tosses them against the wall.
It's like, wow, way to earn your paycheck, boys. You really accredit your service and protection of your emperor.
Well, they were. It's now that we know who Palpatine was, they were more of a formality than anything.
Oh, 100%.
They weren't ever going to be.
Yeah, but
he didn't really need them.
Oh no, not at all. But just the fact that they've never really done anything competent outside of Legends is kind of an embarrassment. Like in the movies, they do nothing. They are just there to look intimidating and just to give off like the grand effect that like there's no way that you can get past the Emperor. They're total pushovers. They are paperweights. there's nothing that these guys can do that you can stop them very easily. And I think it's just kind of funny that they're that they're supposed to be like elite guard, and they're
like the top tier soldiers,
and immediately they got snuck up on a guy who wasn't even being sneaky. And so he does that, and then Palpatine just flings Yoda across the wall, and it's like, I've been looking forward to this, my little green friend. It's like, that is terrifying.
Well, it's not just that he says...
I mean, he is little and he is green.
That is true. Just the way he said it made it very unsettling.
The voice is creepy, but the facts are
line
true.
To Yoda is, I have waited a long time for this moment, which is paraphrasing what Greedo says to Han Solo.
That is true. It all comes back full circle. So Palpatine, I think this is probably like one of the most unintentional funny moments of the movie, outside of, you know, his guards just getting knocked out without a second thought and no effort whatsoever, of him getting flinged across the room, and then him having to him getting flung in his chair over his desk, and then him just slowly falling over because of how he landed. It was just so unintentionally funny. I can't help but laugh at that just a little bit. And then he tries to leave, and then Yoda's like, if you're so powerful, then why are you leaving? And it's like, yeah, that's a good point. Why are you leaving?
He just starts going, bok, 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 bok. And they just like, oh, that's even low for you, Palpatine. Playground rules.
Yeah, playground rules. Pocket sand.
Throw you and throws him into Tambark.
Yeah. So yeah, they get that fight that just eventually just shows up into like the entire Senate floor, and just throwing all the seats at each other, and it's just really crazy because in terms of like raw force abilities, these two are like probably like perfect matches in terms of like rivalry. They have
at this point, they're probably the two strongest force users in the galaxy.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, since everyone else,
Palpatine and Yoda.
Yeah. Well, since the since the population of force users has significantly dwindled in the past few hours prior to that fight, yes.
Well, I mean, excluding that.
Oh, I'm dying over here.
You're doing your Grievous impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're quite the impression.
Oh, thank you. So, yeah, when it gets to the point of like, you know, Palpatine doing like his Force lightning, and Yoda's, you know, trying to like collect it and like bounce it back, it just explodes in both of their faces, and it's purely like, I guess, chance that like Yoda just happens to fall all the way down at the bottom of the Senate floor, and Palpatine just kind of remains up there. Otherwise, I feel like that fight would have continued until either one of them died or they both died, because I felt like the fight itself was more or less a stalemate, because they couldn't like beat each other in terms of like lightsaber combat, because they were equally matched in that as well. And their force abilities, they both had intimate knowledge of both sides of the force to counter the other. So there's no way either one could have beaten the other. So Yoda leaving was the only logical step.
Well, and then from a production side, both these characters had to show up in the next.
True, but I mean, thinking outside of that, but in like,
existed.
Thinking outside of like, if those movies hadn't been made yet,
So if it was just,
if this was the last movie that was made, and then came out,
this fight ended with one of them dying.
If it went in with this whole intention that like only one of them was leaving this fight alive, I felt like neither of them would have, because they were such. They were conveyed to be like the perfect rivals of each side of their branch of the force, of like the dark side and the light, that I really couldn't see either one of them actually winning the fight outside of what actually happened. I'm actually kind of glad that the fight did end in the way that it did.
There was no one won. It just ended.
Yeah, it just and then we get the unceremonious way that Yoda's lightsaber was left behind and then was promptly destroyed in a bonfire for propaganda for the Empire later on. Like all the lightsabers from the Jedi Temple were collected and were just thrown in like this huge furnace as like propaganda for all the citizens of the Empire. And it's like, that sucks. Really? You're just going to destroy all those lightsabers?
I'm not sure if that's still
You
canon.
could have used those kyber crystals for your Death Star.
And on Mustafar, obviously we've just, like we said before, we're cutting back and forth between Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Palpatine and Yoda. And I remember a couple of our friends in college, I remember I was telling them how much I loved this fight scene, and they were saying how they thought it was a little too over the top and dramatic, which it is, but there's like, a lot of, it's like you kind of said it before, Kevin, there's a lot of emotion here. It's been gearing up for this since probably Phantom Menace. Like,
pretty much, yeah. They pretty much say like right off the bat that like this little kid's gonna turn into Vader. Have fun with that knowledge.
I mean, Dave Filoni, just before we did this, I rewatched that. I talked about it. Obviously, I've talked about it I can't talk. Okay. Obviously, I have talked about it a bunch. Dave Filoni's analysis of prequels and original. And he was kind of, he's saying how like the whole point of Duel of the Fates is that it's really about the fate of Anakin and if, how things would have been different if Qui-Gon had survived. But this is more of like, I mean, you can almost argue like a biblical like theme of like Cain and Abel. Like it's just two opposites who care so much about each other.
I can definitely kind of see that comparison. I never really thought of it like that.
I thought about it while I was watching. I was like, I'm not an overly religious person, but the dynamic kind of popped into my head.
I can definitely see that, yeah.
But the whole, if you watch like behind the scenes interviews of it, like the whole thing is that they are pretty much equal to each other. Hayden obviously is a little more, by this point, I guess Darth Vader is stronger, but as fighters, they are fairly equal. And you see that like a lot. Like there's that part where they're fighting, and I love it because it looks cool, but they're like, fighting, and then they're just both like twirling their lightsabers around.
They're picking up speed and power for that when their next strike hits.
It's so evenly matched that they're just matching each other move for move, sort of.
And then they like throw each other back. Like it's just it's just so interesting how the fight does go on for a while, but because they are pretty much equal.
Yeah.
And because like for the most part,
each other Obi-Wan, so well.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan basically taught everything that Anakin knows in terms of like fighting and use of the Force, that Anakin uses that knowledge to counter Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan uses that knowledge to counter Anakin, and it just kind of turns into mind games towards the end of the fight of, it's like, oh, I have the high ground to kind of like psych him out, and it's like, I never taught him this move because I know how to counter this move, and I don't think Anakin's ever experienced a situation like this, but that's towards the end of the fight, and everything else leading up to that is just move, counter move, parry, counter move. It's just everything that they're doing, they know each step in order to stop or block that attack, because like I said, they know all each other's moves.
And we get to, I think, maybe my next piece of dialogue that I really love, when they're pretty much on like the lava river, like on like, it's like what is it, it's like floating like pods that are like everything's breaking and diminishing into the like lava.
They destroyed the shields for the entire
they turned the shields off.
Yeah.
So the shields weren't there to protect from anything else. The shields were there only to protect from heat.
And
and of course the whole thing's melting because, lava. It does that.
It's literally in hell.
I do agree. Like there are parts there are parts of the scene that I think like I'm more invested in this moment or this moment. And I did kind of think it is funny when they're swinging on like cables and still fighting.
Yeah, there were moments like that where it's like I felt like was like kind of silly and unnecessary.
But
it's
yeah,
like, but then we get the shot of like them like clashing, and we have like the lava eruption happen like right behind them. It's like that is such a perfect shot, and I think that's
a real the volcanic eruption that's shown in these scenes is a real volcano erupting.
Oh yeah, like in Italy.
I did not know that
because it's Mount Etna in Italy.
Yeah,
was erupting at the time they were filming.
Which I don't get that they weren't. How did they use that? How does that work? Like, how did they do that? Like, I'm not a special effects expert. I don't know.
So I think they took the footage for that, and then they made a blue screen set. So they actually had like various like set pieces that look like volcanic rock, but they still had like the blue screen kind of like felt and foam around it to kind of match it, so they could digitally enhance already existing set pieces that were there when they were filming the actual volcano, and then they projected the volcano in the background and then just had like the digitally enhanced set pieces to match what was in the background into the foreground, so it would seamlessly
because their lawyers won't let them go film on location.
But
I can't imagine why.
But then
it was some health and safety issue or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure if that. I'm not sure if that's how. I'm not sure if that's what they actually did, but that's what I think.
Okay, I'm like
should have done.
Yeah.
That's how I think that it was done.
But then we get to
with my very limited.
There is behind the scenes, as with all the Star Wars prequels. There's a ton of behind the scenes stuff where they show some of that.
I think there's a blooper of Obi-Wan accidentally hitting his lightsaber like in Hayden Christensen's like groin or something, and he just like falls to the ground.
There were so many. There were several fight scenes with like lightsabers where like they accidentally like whack the other person's knuckles like super hard.
This fight scene, I don't think there's very minimal stuntman work in this, because it was all just Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor spent hours practicing,
which is like it looks phenomenal. I was about to say fantastic, and then I was like, or do I want to say phenomenal? And I almost just said phenomenal or something. Okay, anyway, but yeah, no, it looks great. And then we get to, as like the fight is kind of starting to come to a close, and we get to I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you, and it sucks.
He's so heartbroken.
This is why I love Obi-Wan just so much. He's grown so much since he was a Padawan, and he is starting to, his like love for Anakin is kind of like what Qui-Gon would have given him, but obviously it came way too late. And I think one of my roommate actually made the point, because when we were watching all Phantom Menace together, he said that he thinks an issue was that they are too close in age, which they're like at least 10 years apart. Is that
something
not?
Like that.
Is that not like what's? I mean, I understand like Qui-Gon.
That's about right, yeah.
But Qui-Gon's probably much older than obviously Obi-Wan. But I'm just curious, do you think that's a factor? Or I understand the whole like he was like his father in the last one, and here they are like brothers because they are pretty much equal. Other than the fact that he's a master, they are pretty much equal. So, but I don't know. I never really thought that much about that. Just curious if there's anything to that, or if you guys thought about that.
Not really. Because I mean the age difference is pretty much stated like right off the bat in Phantom Menace. I don't remember. I never really thought that they were too close in age. Like if anything, like the only people that are close in age would be like Anakin and Padme. Like they're closer in age than Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
Because she was like 15, he was like 9 or 10 in Phantom Menace, and Obi-Wan was like early 20s.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think that they're too close in age, and that would be a significant factor. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really thought about it.
I just thought that was an interesting point. I'm like, I've never thought about that. But it's just, it's just like so. I never quite. I understand that, like, yes, this all kind of goes back to Qui-Gon's death and how Qui-Gon would have been a very different master. He would have been like a father to him. He would have been, which is like kind of what Anakin needed because he never had that. But I don't necessarily know if I agree that, like, I know there's a lot of like, oh, if Qui-Gon had been his master, he never would have gone to the dark side. I think it would have just been a different path. I don't think he necessarily wouldn't have gone to the dark side. I think that's just one of the many, many factors. But also the fact that Qui-Gon was obviously so different than the rest of the Jedi because he doesn't think having an attachment is wrong, and like he, like had all these things that Anakin struggled with. And I don't know. Do you guys think that I understand that's a huge factor, but do you think that's the main factor? And how it would have, I understand it would have been very different if if Qui-Gon had been his trainer. But I feel like there were so many other things going on that, it could have gone in so many different ways.
Well, I think at one point in either like the novelization or something, Anakin blamed Obi-Wan for Qui-Gon's death. Like, you weren't there to defend him, to protect him. And I can't remember if this was like a nightmare that Obi-Wan had, or like a forced premonition or a vision or something like that, or if this actually happened. I can't remember what the full context was, or even if this even happened or something. But I think that the idea that if Qui-Gon had stuck to training Anakin, I think he would have done so more or less without the council's approval, because he was fully ready to do that anyway. That I don't think he would have even fully had a chance to interact with Palpatine as much as he did with that, because he would have been more or less kind of operating outside of the council's orders already. So with him operating in the orders of the council under Obi-Wan is the reason why he interacted with Palpatine as much as he did, due to Palpatine's intervention with the war. And it's like, hey, I need to meet with you because of this. There's this attack's happening there. I need you to help me with this. But with Qui-Gon, I don't think it would have even gotten to that point. So I don't know how he would have dealt with any issues of attachment in terms of his relationship with Padme, but I felt like it would have been significantly more difficult for Palpatine to sway Anakin to the dark side if Qui-Gon was still a major involvement in his life.
Okay. Yeah. Like I realized, like, I kept like going, oh, there's so many factors, and there are so many factors, but like if Qui-Gon had survived, obviously, like you said, the sway of the council would have been different. His relationship with Palpatine might have been different or non-existent. Like, I think it's just because since Qui-Gon's death, obviously, I guess it's what made it unstable, because there were so many factors that went into it after Qui-Gon's death. And one of them was Obi-Wan was the trainer that he needed a trainer, but at the same time, Qui-Gon would have been a different trainer, and Obi-Wan wasn't necessarily what Anakin, not necessarily as a Jedi, needed. And I guess that's a contributor to his failure.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I really like how like Marvel is creating like Marvel What If. I feel like Disney is going to make like a Star Wars What If.
Star Wars What If. There was a series of Star Wars What If comics.
I do remember that, and they had varying degrees of success. Like,
and I can't remember if I heard that from your guys' podcast series last year, or if I heard that somewhere else.
I do remember seeing a series of YouTube videos explaining the Star Wars What If comics, and some of them are kind of out there. I'm gonna say it that much. I'm not gonna get too much into it because that's a long tangent. So what were your kind of reactions towards the end of the fight of I have the high ground and Anakin burning alive and all that?
It's like it had to happen for him to become the Darth Vader that we know.
Yeah,
in the original trilogy. And it was something they had to show in this movie. They couldn't just leave that up to happening in between the trilogies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because they at the time they didn't know there was going to be more Star Wars movies. This was intended to be the last
it annoyed
one.
me. I remember so much, and I said this to Kevin, how Anakin has like a scar on his eye in throughout this movie, but in beginning of Revenge of the Sith, and he doesn't have it at any other time. And if it had been like, oh, Dooku did it from the last one, that would have been one thing, but that doesn't happen. And then you told me like, oh, there's some whatever happened. It's like, okay, but even if it happened in Clone Wars, that would have been one thing. It's just like a thing that happens, and we don't ever see it. I know that there is a reason why it's there, but it's
I forget.
Asajj gave it to him.
Yeah,
but it's still the principle. I
think that was in the 2003 Clone Wars.
I think he had it. I thought he had it before that fight.
The 2003, not the 2008.
Yeah, no,
he has it at the beginning of the 2008 Clone Wars,
and I'm just like, why does he
got it in the 2003 Clone Wars?
Yeah, but that's no longer canon now, so I don't remember what the canonical reason of him has it now.
It's just it's the same as like you're saying, we have to see him become the Darth Vader we know. So I know this is different. This is microscopic compared to that, but it's still just bothered me of like, it's a thing that it's like, okay, I mean, yes, we can infer he got injured during the war, whatever. It's not a huge deal. It's just the fact that it's
as of now, there's no canon reason for how he got it.
It's just to make him look cool.
Fantastic.
Chicks dig scars.
I mean, you said it.
Sorry, it was I'm not gonna lie. Legends, he got it in a duel with Asajj.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was one of the Clone Wars comics.
Okay.
But that's not canon anymore. So.
Yeah. So, but when we get you kind of explained it a little bit, guys. I'll be honest, I've never quite understood the high ground joke. I understood like the meme, yes, but like
the internet's latched onto it more than it has any meaning.
Okay, because I'm like, yes, he is higher and has high ground.
It's more just it's more Obi-Wan calling out Anakin for trying to rely on his new power too much.
And because he says don't try it, it's like, I'm like, if Obi-Wan can do it, why can't Anakin do it? I think that's what he didn't. But so he has never been trained. What even is it? He just jumped.
Well,
up.
He's trying to use his like new dark side abilities to jump farther than his master has jumped and get behind him and flank him. But it's like he's trying to do so with a power that he is still kind of new with, and he's trying to do something that only like his master is like, this is a move that like his master has done, and he's never really had an instance where he has had to know or use this ability. And since Obi-Wan's been in this situation a couple of times now, he knows how to counter it because he more or less invented this move.
Okay.
Which we see in like Darth Maul fight of like how he was able to like vault and like flip over and get him by surprise.
Yeah. Okay. Because then that's when he in defense of himself cuts off Anakin's legs and
arm
and Anakin's like crawling on the sand. Yeah, his Sith eyes are very much like he's Sith now, and Anakin's like he's about to be burnt alive, and Obi-Wan is just by this point just so crushed that it went this far, and you're the chosen one. It was said you would destroy the Sith, and you were my brother, and I loved you. And this is when Anakin goes, I hate you. And I remember when after watching this, I told my sister, I'm like, oh, Kevin and I watched the prequels, and she laughed and went, I hate you. And why didn't he try to pull him? Like, I get maybe not take him with him, but
because he was sent there to kill him, so it's like, I guess him catching on fire will do the job, and he doesn't have it in him to actually kill him.
Okay, yeah. But then he takes the lightsaber, and I don't know if you guys seen that meme of this was your father's lightsaber. He told me to give it to you one day or whatever, and he's like, yeah, we fought, and then I let him get set on fire, and then I just took it.
And they're so like, dude.
And then Darth Darth Sidious and clones show up and go find him, and Obi-Wan takes Padme and 3PO and whatever, they all leave, and she ends up, because she's like, I don't know, her heart's breaking and they can't explain it, but they're losing her.
She's lost the will to live.
And that's the thing about this whole thing, is like, it's stupid, but it is sad, and there is, again, like before, it's like there is something weirdly poetic about it.
And this scene's being paralleled with the scene of Anakin being put into the Darth Vader suit.
Yeah. So it's like, it's the birth of the rebellion, and it's also the birth of the Empire, with the birth of Luke and Leia and the birth of Vader.
There's an even more subtle thing to this scene where in the background of the audio on both of them, you can hear their heartbeats.
Oh!
Yes, I noticed
and
that.
As they close Darth Vader's helmet, both their heartbeats go away, and then Darth Vader starts again.
Wait,
like 12 seconds
Luke
later.
and Leia's heartbeats?
Anakin and Padme's.
Oh my god! I did not.
And that's more or less the scene where she
they're still good.
Gives birth and then so dies.
Anakin and Padme both had to die for Darth Vader to be born.
Holy crap! So. I mean, yeah. And you, Kevin, remember we made this point, or you and I and Frank made this point when we first watched them. There is never, I don't even know if it's a deleted scene or not. There is never any indication of like, what are we going to name our baby? And then she's just like, Luke, Leia. It's like, oh, so you've thought about this. Okay.
The only scene that we get of like her talking about the baby is like, oh, I want to have them on Naboo. It's like that scene of like the I'm so in love with you, like that.
Yeah, but they don't bring up
scene.
Names or anything.
Yeah, as far as I know, that's really like the only scene that I'm aware of where they're like discussing future plans about the babies.
It just would have been interesting, like if there was someone in their life named like Luke or Leia or something, like some little like more meaning to it. Just because it seems, obviously, like, it's kind of the same as Darth Vader. It carries weight because we know who they will become, but right now, it's so random.
Yeah, it kind of comes out of nowhere, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for this, because it's a new thing and it'll have meaning. Rather, I think it'll lose meaning if it comes from something that already has meaning.
I mean, okay, but even if still, like, I've been trying to think about baby
like it's
names,
kind of
like anything.
I know, but but I feel like it's kind of like a stolen valor kind of thing, It's just like, this is already a thing. Why do we need to add another layer of meaning to it?
I mean, Ben Solo was named after Ben Kenobi.
Yeah,
true.
Or I guess, I mean, really, he was named after Ben Quadinero. That's not
the only Ben we want to know.
So, and her death scene is really like heartbreaking because, I mean, Bail and Yoda are all there, and I feel like Bail was
and R2 and 3PO.
And I feel like Bail is probably in the same boat as like Obi-Wan. Like, he had seen how they interacted with each other, Anakin and Padme. He probably thought something, but just kind of kept his mouth shut. Wasn't his business, whatever. And also Bail, like we said this before, Bail's just really great and very loyal, and he and Padme are really good friends. Especially in Clone Wars, but they're good friends in the Senate, and he's there for her in this really sad hour. And then, okay, we gotta split them up so the Sith can't find them. And I did think the first time I watched this, or when Bail's like, oh, we'll take the girl. We've always talked about adopting a baby girl. And it just seemed very, oh, wow, what a coincidence. Like, it seemed a little too on the nose for me. And, Obi-Wan is like, okay, I'll take the baby to Tatooine for his family.
His
family. The Larzai. And
Lars. Just
no,
Lars.
I know, like there's multiple of them, so
yeah,
like cacti.
Lars oh my god. So yeah, he takes him to Tatooine.
But Obi-Wan, I didn't watch it, but I know there's like a theory, like a start of like why Obi-Wan trained Luke and not Leia, and it's like, I don't want to get too into it, but like I didn't really watch it, so I can't really talk about that much. But I think what it said, like, was he, was chauvinistic or didn't think Leia. I don't know what it was, but it just sounded stupid. But it seemed like, why is all of the all the pressure on Luke, because I think like they assume at this point Luke's going to be the chosen one or something, but it could have been either of them for all they knew.
Yeah, and I think he was just kind of like, since Obi-Wan was like around Luke longer than he was Leia, that is like, oh, I sense a lot of like Force coming from him, and he never really met Leia as far as we know, outside of like her being born. The last time we see her is when he's
getting the message,
when Luke's saving him.
Yeah,
is when and when they're saving him from the Death Star, and it's like, I did my job, I reunited both Skywalkers, and then
it's kind of weird because you realize in that moment, like, he knows that they're siblings, and he knows Darth Vader is it's weird, like how much he knows everything. And you know, obviously he hangs out on Tatooine, which is probably where the Obi-Wan series is gonna partly take place.
You would assume so.
Yeah,
partly, I would think at one point. And
everyone's just kind of being like cookie cutter placed back into their Tridge starting places for A New Hope.
And
like R2 and 3PO are put on the
R2 and 3PO are transferred
to Tantive 4,
Captain Antilles.
And
Leia's on Alderaan, Luke's on Tatooine,
Binary Sunset, and
Binary Sunset.
Yoda heads off to Dagobah,
and this is probably one of the coolest visuals in the movie. On one of the vendors, before they turned into a Star Destroyer, Palpatine.
Well, they'd stripped the paint off
they stripped
it, so it was just gray.
They stripped the paint off it, and they were slowly turning them into Star Destroyers. But
they built the Star Destroyers.
Yes, so they're in,
but they were
they're on a cruiser,
on a vendor,
and Palpatine and Vader are looking at the constructions of the framework of the Death Star.
Tarkin's there.
And Tarkin's
there. Wait, he was?
Like,
I don't remember.
Shit.
He was?
He was like right there.
He's off to the side.
He was off to the side, and he like walks off as Vader walks in. It's like it's very clearly Tarkin. It cannot be mistaken for anyone else. No one's cheeks are that pointy.
It's just kind of mind blowing, because I remember watching Clone Wars. I didn't understand before watching Clone Wars that, because I thought the Clone Wars ended when, and even in the movie they say the war is going to end soon, but I didn't realize, like, because Anakin and Obi-Wan are no longer like out there fighting, I thought that the war was over, which I was just, I guess, not listening. But
the war officially ended when Order 66 was
announced. And then when I was watching Clone Wars, and you were like, no, when the Clone Wars ended, the Empire began, and I realized, I remember like, oh, like, hey, these ships are like Star Destroyers, and all these people are wearing the uniforms that the Empire workers wear, and it finally kind of like, oh, stupid. And I think it was just kind of like, they didn't realize, like, Palpatine was just so damn manipulative that, like, he was forging the Empire just from the Republic for so, like, well before the end of the war. And it didn't just, okay, we're going to do things this way, which I know a little bit that's how it worked, but for the most part, it just seemed like it just smoothly went that way. And it's just kind of insane. And, you know, Yoda, before we end, like, Yoda's like, oh, hey, I got some homework for you while you're on Tatooine. Qui-Gon kind of learned sort of how to become a Force ghost. And he's like, Qui-Gon? And then, you know, babies are separated. And do you think, I might have asked this last year in A New Hope, do you think, like, Obi-Wan told Owen, like Uncle Owen, like, oh, your stepbrother Anakin died, and can you raise a son? Do you think for all intents and purposes he just said that?
I feel like there was some kind of brief exchange to kind of like, hey, like, some really bad stuff's happened. I don't know what has actually been said, because there's been a lot of stuff that has been said and it's been retconned, so I don't know what the official story is on what's been told on what Owen believes happened to Anakin, if he knows that he's Vader, or if he just thinks that he died. It's like, oh, I'll just lie to protect him. That's pretty much like the whole cover story. I don't know what Obi-Wan told Owen. For all I know, he was just.
I don't think there's ever.
But they also could have, like,
Yeah.
Leia's fully adopted. Why not have Luke be Luke Lars? Why keep Skywalker as his last name?
Is
there anything about that? If there's none, it's fine.
Continuity, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, continuity, but
Name
like even in the
recognition.
first one, it could. Well, I guess okay, yeah, continuity, I guess is the answer. But like realistically,
realistically, I have no answer. Both canonically or Legends, I have no answer for you.
So that is, yeah.
I think that was purely just a creator's choice on Lucas's part.
The explanation works. The explanation that works is he's living with his uncle, so it's still family, so they don't need him to take their name,
I know, but they could have just like said that like it could have been like an adoption the way that like Leia's was, is what I mean.
Changing his name wouldn't have protected him anymore.
Oh,
there.
Okay.
That's already Vader's family.
Anakin knew those people. So he's like,
you know what? Fair enough. Okay.
Owen and Beru have a kid. Now hold on.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean? That's not hold on. They could have had a kid.
It's like, hold on. He has Padme's eyes and has my Force abilities. Yeah.
My, what Padme's eyes you have.
I wonder how that could have happened.
My, what strong Force you have. All the better to fight you, father.
He has my midichlorians.
So that is Revenge of the Sith. And okay, guys, here is the big question. Fuck, marry, kill Obi-Wan, Anakin, or Palpatine.
What?
I've been planning this. You don't have to answer. I just thought it'd be funny.
All right. Kill Palpatine. Fuck Anakin. Marry Obi-Wan.
Yep.
All right.
Same. Exact same. I'm not against marrying Anakin, but he might kill me.
I mean, he's kind of an abusive asshole in Clone Wars. Let's be real.
He's got a great body. Like, damn. Like, anyway, so the real question.
I mean, you said him yourself. He probably takes Padme to Pound Town every time he visits. So why not?
Seriously, though, they only are together for however long he's on Coruscant. They're probably together. Like, being realistic. Anyway, so
this is a family movie, Sam.
I mean, it was rated PG-13,
and they are in bed together. It's kind of like how in Attack of the Clones, when they're, after he pretends to be after he fell off the cow while cow surfing and pretends to be injured, and then they're like laughing and rolling in the grass, and I was like, what the hell, the first time I saw that. And it's like #implied conception, we get it. And then this is like, in this movie we actually see them in bed together. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, I mean, partly again, you can show that in a PG movie, but I think it's because of the implications, as well as would you guys say, because I don't really remember, was Hayden Christensen a heartthrob, or was he attempted to be a heartthrob, and because of opinions that
I have no idea.
I was like 12 when the movie came out.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong people. You're asking two 12-year-old boys if this actor was a heartthrob.
No,
you really think we're the experts on this?
I mean, I was 12 and I was obsessed with Zac Efron, and I knew he was a heartthrob. I mean, like, I felt like they were shaping him up to be that way, and it seemed like it didn't quite. I don't know. I was just curious. Okay, anyway.
I have no idea.
So this movie, Kevin and Ben, is this real? Could this have happened the way that it did?
No. I do not think this could have happened.
Yeah.
There's so many loose ends and various factors that could have meant that Palpatine's plan would have completely gone sideways, that I don't think that it could have gone this smoothly.
Okay, Ben, you kind of agree.
Like, even like his ship almost like crashed in like the beginning of the movie because the clones destroyed the engines.
Well,
yeah.
That's the ship was damaged beyond saving before Anakin and Obi-Wan got onto it.
I know, but it was just the fact that it's like,
but yeah,
like the clones are still shooting this already crippled ship. It's like, stop, the Chancellor's on that. It's like there were so many just.
Well, they were trying to disable it so it couldn't keep damaging them.
Yeah, I know that, but it was just there was just a lot of factors outside of that that it's just so many loose ends that could have just completely unraveled his entire plan and just blown up in his face. I do not think this could have happened.
Okay. And Ben, you're kind of in agreement.
It's no, it could have.
Yeah.
Ben, how could you? I trusted you. You were my brother.
I knew that was where you're headed. It is said that you would agree with me, not
join her.
Not agree with me. Wait, I'm the Sith in this situation.
Only a Sith deal's an absolute Sam.
Wait, hold on. But I'm Ben.
You're Ben Quadraneros, the most evil character of them all.
Oh, fuck, that's right.
All right, go ahead, Ben.
It always comes back to Ben
But
Quadraneros.
yeah, the manipulation and Anakin trusting Palpatine over the Jedi, I can see more so over the last couple of years. I can see how that could happen.
Yes.
It's become much more painfully obvious in the last year or two.
Yeah. And the Clone Wars did a really good job at showcasing that.
That has helped a lot as well.
I will agree with you on that, yes.
Yeah, because
that fills in a lot of those loose ends.
Yeah, and it wasn't just in this movie alone they don't trust him. Like, they specifically don't tell him information and keep him out of things because they don't trust him, because he is, like that one storyline with Obi-Wan, where they fake his death and they keep Anakin out
the
of
face-off arc.
And I will say, in that one, I understood why they didn't tell him when faking his death, because they wanted his reaction, but I didn't see why they couldn't tell him later.
To be genuine.
But anyway, they just years of them treating him differently because of his not just his attachment to Obi-Wan, but just he is a different type of Jedi.
It's the way they treated Ahsoka when she left.
Yeah,
it's true.
That's kind of was helped out a lot
with his frustration with them. Yeah. I think I'm kind of with Ben. I'm kind of in the middle again. I agree. The betrayal of the Jedi is very real, and I feel like a lot of I think I said this before earlier. Like, there is this general consensus that people agree that it was warranted, and I agree with all of that. I think his conflict versus his whether he actually agrees with Palpatine's plan of killing everybody, all these people, again, a lot of them are people that Anakin would have probably loved to have killed, but some of them there's no way. So I think it's like he hit the ease of him going on this rampage, I find as a little hard to believe.
It's just from the movies, the ease of which that he went on to it is hard to justify, but with all the kind of backfill stuff from Clone Wars and everything else, it's easier to accept.
Yes. But at this movie alone, I think also just Palpatine's manipulation, it's great, but it's not subtle. And I feel like realistically he would have been way more subtle.
Set up it well enough.
As well as he would have put up a fight when Anakin's like, I'm gonna go turn you into the Sith. Turn you into the Council. I agree, there's a lot of these moments that it's like, I just don't think for a second that that's how it would have actually have played out.
Part of it's the problem with being a movie is they don't have enough time to flesh everything properly.
Which kind of helps with novelization, because the novelization of the various movie added so much more details and facts that weren't present in the movie.
Well, the original cut of this movie was almost 4 hours.
Oh my god!
I want to see that cut.
Same. Didn't somebody cut
rescuing Palpatine?
Oh
was an hour
yeah.
alone.
Or wasn't it even longer than that? Or was it an actual hour? I feel like I read that, but I don't remember the time. Anyway, yeah.
It was just over an hour.
Didn't somebody cut the last season of, or the latter half of the last season of Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith? Because it does meet up at one point.
Yeah, it overlaps.
Yes. It's just in the background, which makes sense. We know what's going on. We don't need to see that, but everybody obviously this Obi-Wan and this Anakin, people I'm waiting. I feel like there's going to be a May 4th in a couple of years where they're going to animate something.
I mean,
that.
They have.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you've seen of Bad Batch.
I'm caught up.
They have some asset. Okay, they have assets from this movie built out in the Clone Wars style.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks great.
And they've only used them on screen for a couple of seconds, so they have those things planned for something at some point.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of work to create all that stuff and use it for seconds.
Yeah, as like a background thing.
yeah.
Like they probably have the whole Anakin meeting Grievous scene on Grievous's flagship built out in Clone Wars style because they have parts of that made up already.
Yeah, which I would love to see that.
What everyone wants to see is the final fight.
Yeah.
Between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Because yeah, I think
because you no longer have the limitation of humans.
Physical,
yes.
Yeah. Humans in their weak, fleshy bodies.
I think it's just yeah, no, I agree. It's just different because I think performance wise, I think Hayden Christensen overall, having rewatched this, I don't have a huge issue. There are scenes where I'm kind of like, I don't quite know. And even in this movie, there were a couple of times I thought his delivery was a little weird. But I think in this one, I thought he actually did a really good job overall. And I don't think he gets a lot of the credit he deserves. Again, there are some awkward bits, but for the most part, I think everyone needs to chill out because he did what he was told to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He does not deserve the hate that he receives.
No,
he did an amazing job with what he was given.
Yeah,
he did the best he could with what he had.
I think there was some I feel like there were just moments, and like I talked about it before, but the moment where he was like crying and freaking out after Mace Windu was just that bit was so good, as well as like later his like tears after going on this murder spree. Like I think he did very well with what he was given. And back off, haters. Like if you don't like him, fine, but calm your tits. So I think that is it. Ben, thank you for joining us. I gotta say, I will miss you.
Well, hopefully we'll have him back next time we talk anything Star Wars.
Yeah, if you ever do anything with Star Wars, let me know. And all.
By the way, I remember giving you a homework assignment of recommending us a movie to review for a future episode.
Oh, yeah.
Were you able to complete that assignment, man?
Well, I'd had one, but I think I may change it after talking at break with Sam. But so the original one I had was The Hobbit.
Oh, okay.
But not The Hobbit, the 1977 Hobbit.
Oh, the Rankin Bass one?
Yes.
Fuck yes, I'm so down.
If you need to see it, I have it sitting on my desk in front of me.
I am so down. Movie night.
I also have the Lord of the Rings version. Or the Lord of the Rings one also.
Yes. Oh, dude, I am so hyped if we're doing that.
Yes, those are two of the movies I've had on my list that we need to do when we can do movie night.
Yes. Okay. Well,
but the other one would be Ocean's 11.
That's a good one too. All right, I'd be down for either one of those.
One of my favorite movies.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh. I learn something new every day about my friends.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, keep an eye out for those future episodes.
Here's the question.
Where
I guess some of you guys, I don't know if you talked about, but where do you guys rank these in your just as in the Star Wars movies for
Revenge of the Sith?
Not just the prequels.
Or I guess the prequels in general. But again, so what's your ranking for all the Star Wars movies?
Oh, okay. So A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, Rogue One,
so I guess,
Attack of the Clones.
Top 5. Oh. You just do top 5, makes it easier.
Okay, I think I covered all 5 then.
Yeah, I agree. I think New Hope is number. Are we just favorite or just ranking like just in general? Like,
oh, I was doing favorites.
Okay, because I do think I think New Hope is definitely the absolute best Star Wars. Then if we're going by favorites, okay. Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi. Actually, New Hope and Return of the Jedi. I love both of those so much. Empire is, I guess, there. And then I think Phantom Menace. And then maybe Attack of the Clones. I don't know. Attack of the Clones was fun. But Phantom Menace, I feel like I was surprised. Like, I was enjoying it a lot while watching it this time around. So they're kind of tied. Yeah. Ben, what about you?
See, this is going to be controversial, but you can definitely tell I was the target audience for the prequels because Revenge of the Sith is top of my list.
Okay.
And then Rogue One.
I wanted to include Rogue One in my list as well.
And really, those two are kind of tied.
Yeah.
It depends on which one I watched more recently. So it'd be Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back, maybe. And then probably like Attack of the Clones and then Solo. Just because Solo was really fun.
Interesting how none of us had any sequel movies in our lists. That's going to be a fun one to talk about next year.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean sequel movies? Sorry, I'm... Oh, right. I was like, wait, these are all sequels. I'm like, do we go like, oh, yeah, that's not a surprise. And
I guess if you could count the first episode of Bad Batch's movie because it's 70 minutes long, that would probably be fairly high up my list.
So
yeah, that wraps up Star Wars month for this year. I hope you guys like that. You guys can follow us on Facebook, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, the Movie Reel Podcast. Pretty much do what Ben did. Give us a recommendation on future movies, and we can potentially get to that in the future. Anything else you guys want to add?
Join us for don't have an official date yet, but probably going to take, I would think, Kevin, maybe like a week or two break, just because we just did, a very intense analysis on 3 movies in the last couple weeks.
Probably.
June, we're going to begin what we did last year, like our summer themed movies. And we just kind of actually figured out our schedule, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to a lot of these movies that we covered.
Yeah.
So you guys are in for a treat for the next couple months.
Look forward to listening to those when I go running.
All right, thanks, man.
You listen to us while running? Oh.
Yeah.
How dare you exercise?
What's your favorite episode? I'm just curious. It's okay if you don't.
Lighthouse, because he was in it.
I haven't gotten that far yet.
You're going in order?
Okay.
No.
Are
I'm
you
going
listening
in
to
order.
Space Jam?
I got through that one a while ago. I'm on The Mummy.
Oh my God. The Mummy we should have split up into 2. We both love The Mummy way too much, and it went on forever.
Yeah, we know way too much about that movie.
Velocipaster was a fun one. Just because that's I had no clue where that was going.
They're making another one, I heard.
I heard that too.
Which we are definitely going to do it. But until then, I'm Samantha Tomlinson.
I'm Kevin Tracy.
I'm Ben Deckard.
And you've been listening to Movie Reel. Bye-bye, folks.